Fausto, I just met you, but I imagine that you are very joyful and you have a lot of joy in making wine. Is that I know it's work. I know it's work, but do you find a lot of joy in making wine?
This is really hard work, really hard. If you don't have a passion, I think maybe make a conventional wine or harder. Because I explained before, all of a sudden in the farm, in the vineyard, in the cellar, and yes, what I'm happy is in the wine I can give to the people a piece of me, of my personality, and I think the wine change if I change me.
Hello, and welcome to this special episode of the Wine Pair Podcast. I'm Joe, your sommelier of reasonably priced wine, and for this special episode, it's just me. Carmela is making cakes for her bakery, which, by the way, you can learn more about if you head over to her website, lovebabycakes.com, or maybe we're just out of town, and while we're out, we're letting you hear our amazing conversations with winemakers. That could be it. Today, we're going to introduce you to Fausto Cellario, who, along with his wife, Cinzia, is the winemaker and owner of Poderi Cellario, which is based in the village of Caru on the outskirts of the Langhe in Piedmont, Italy. Fausto Cellario is the kind of winemaker who names a wine the wine that doesn't exist because he's technically not allowed to make it. He planted a hilltop vineyard in 2013 with a rare native grape called du Dennery, which is actually illegal to grow in the Langhe Hills. So his response was essentially, wine? What wine? No idea what you're talking about. That's Fausto. So he and his wife are self-described dolcetto specialists who work exclusively with indigenous varieties. They farm organically, and they let natural yeast do the heavy lifting, a philosophy he sums up as the winemaker is simply a spectator who watches a miracle of nature happen. Pretty cool, huh? The family calls their approach wine of the people, rock juice, and they mean the family calls their approach wine of the people rock juice, and they mean it. Fausto is the rare producer who's deeply rooted in tradition and also kind of a rule breaker, which is honestly an awesome combination. Before our chat with Fausto, I want to give you all a quick orientation to what we usually do in our podcast. Now, in most episodes, we learn about taste and review 2 to 3 wines that are reasonably priced, which means under $25 and should be easy to find. However, for this special set of episodes, we interview people who are involved in actually making wine because part of what we want to do with our podcast is to educate ourselves and you, our faithful listeners, on different aspects of wine knowledge in a fun, entertaining, and unstuffy way. Even entertaining, as Decanter Magazine has called their podcast. And that's what we're doing today. And a small plug before we get to the interview with Fausto. If you like what you're hearing or are interested in hearing our other quote-unquote regular episodes, please subscribe or follow our podcast so you can hear more, especially since, you're only getting one half of the Wine Pair podcast in this episode with me. You can also go to our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, to send us a note or subscribe to our newsletter. You can also follow us on Instagram or Blue Sky at the Wine Pair Podcast. And if you like what you're hearing, you can even leave us a nice rating and review, 5 stars. We don't mind. Okay, let's get to the interview with Fausto. And I'll just warn you, if you are a native English speaker, that it may take a minute or two to get used to Fausto's accent, but be patient, because once you get into the flow, you're going to learn a ton. You're going to have a great time. You're going to find out what an awesome and amazing person Fausto is. So let's get to it. Hello, Fausto and Simone, and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast.
Hello, Joe. It's a pleasure for us to be here.
Oh, we are so excited and happy to have you with us. So honored that you're spending time with us. And we are so excited for our listeners to learn more about you and your wonderful winery. So I think on that, maybe we'll just get started. Are you ready?
I'm ready. And it's a pleasure to spend my time for this. It's so interesting for me.
Oh, we can't wait to learn more. Okay, Fausto, the first question we have for you is, Tell us a little bit about yourself, growing up, your background, your family, and in particular, if wine played a part in any of your growing up.
I'm Fausto Cellario. My farm name is Poderi Cellario. We are in Italy, in the northwest Italy, special territory named Langhe Hills. It's a part of Piedmont with 2,000 years of tradition of winemaking. When Julius Caesar was the imperator of Rome, Rome was all the Europe. In a trip from Rome to Germany, he written in Langhe Hills, he tested the best wine never tested. People was growing from a lot of years and with a special quality, but I think the biggest part of this was the terroir. The terroir is a calcareous ground of Langhe Hills, give a particular elegance to the wines, and we are in 500 meters on the sea, and near the sea and near the big mountains. My idea was not to make a wine. My family made a wine, a little bit. I explain. Father of my father was a wine grower. Don't make a wine just for family. But my father stopped because in the 1960s, this part of Langhe was so poor. And there was some family rich, but the others cannot live because they had just for survive, just a little bit of vineyard, a little bit of corn, and some cow, and he changed the work. But he returned after 20 years with a little vineyard, 1 hectare, to make a little wine selling. I study enologist, but my idea was to make a graphic, to be an artist. But after an experience working an harvest in Bordeaux, I worked in a chateau at Bordeaux. In my head, there was one idea to arrive at home and make a tank of wine, especially by me, but with the opposite philosophies I learned in Bordeaux. Not conventional, a new idea. Yes, the wine grew me up different to the others because this kind of winemaking, natural wine growing, natural wine making is taken for granted all sudden. And this changed a little bit myself because you can express your idea and at total, but must be more flexible, adapt the situation because this kind of work, the biodynamic, the growing organic, the weather, and after the fermentation, without chemical, you don't control. You just watch what's happening.
So there are a lot of things I'll want to follow up on from what you just said. But one thing that's interesting to me is you said that you worked in Bordeaux and now you create very natural wines, biodynamic farming. Did you learn any of that in Bordeaux, or is that something new that you brought when you started your winery?
No, in Bordeaux, I stayed in the 94. There was not a natural wine maker, all conventional. Now there are started up after us, maybe. In some region of France, started maybe before. But Bordeaux was the lobby, was the best wine of the world, the more expensive, the perfect wine. The idea of natural wine is not a perfection, is just to give an emotion.
So was that something that somebody taught you about, or did you teach yourself? And why did you start doing natural wines?
When I started, teacher of natural wine, there was not. Because I made the school enologist. There was not idea of natural wine, maybe a little idea of make organic grapes, was not in the film. Yes, my father teach me some about wine, also the school, but not for natural wine. And also the school helped me a lot for understand what's happened in the plant, what's happened in the yeast, in the fermentation. This is so important, I think, for make a natural wine. At the moment, natural wine producer a lot arrive from other work, are not traditional of family wine grower because they join the idea of make some green, some natural, some pure. But I think the difference is if you have a culture, if you have a school, you can understand the process. Now, I made my first tank of natural wine in the 97 without yeast, just without sulfites, no chemical. And it was really hard to my father give me this possibility because was really a war. But the wine was good, and we had some clients from my father like a lot. Other don't like because it's a different kind of wine. When we started for some years after I grow this, because must to be have experience. This is just experience. Understand to make a wine similar than make the ancestor before the any enologist. Is difficult to understand from people before our generation because was really renegade a little bit. Don't believe what's happened before. Delete. We don't want to delete a lot, totally, but a new way, a new way.
Yeah, in a way, you're making wine in a new way that's actually sort of the old way.
Yes, yes, just a this. But in the time, people drink wine is changed because the ancestor drink the wine for have a power for work. Was just like eating. Was a pleasure, yes. But the wine at the moment is changed a little bit. Also, people drink wine not for aliment. It's a different pleasure. Is for to be together, for speak, and for have fun. And at the moment, maybe the consumer is more sophisticated.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot more natural wine on the market, people being interested in that. Why do you think, or why did you want to make natural wine? And why do you think people like natural wines?
For me, I started to make a natural wine because I don't want to copy what the other do. This is my idea. In our bottle, the label is painted by me. The wine is made by me and my guys who work me together. We want to give you the wine produced from our ground and every year change. I think this is really is another step on the science on the wine producing. Is similar than an art. For this, I say you, we believe this glass of wine can give you an emotion. This is what is another inspiration. Is not a normal work. Is a sum of more.
Yeah, you answered one of the questions that I like to ask winemakers, and I kind of knew from the beginning the way you would answer it because you have an artistic background, etc. But I often ask, do you lean more on the science side of winemaking or the art side of winemaking? And I would imagine you're more on the art side.
I think to be an artist without the initial science is more difficult. I think I believe in an artistic production, but I think if you know what's happened in the plant, in the fermentation, you can have another step. After this step, you can be maybe an artist. Because I think maybe there is some producer arrive without any study to be an artist, but it's so difficult. And remember, here there is not an enologist. It's me and the experience what from me. And I think this can be good or not, but all arrive from my head. And I think if the part, if you let work the part of the artist, maybe you can arrive another level.
So Fausto, you bring up something that I think about a lot. I am a musician and have been a musician and an actor and those types of things. And you have to know your craft. You have to study before you can let the artistry out. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at. You have to know some of the science, the behind winemaking, to really become an artist in it, maybe.
Yes, it's similar.
Yes.
I think it is we are in accord.
Now, one of the things that I have read about the way that you make wine is also your farming practices. So you don't use pesticides, you use natural fertilizers. Why is that important in your winemaking?
Our winemaking started in vineyard. The growing is organic. We started to make one farm in biodynamic from 10 years, but I think is not a lot to turn the light. Need step by step arrive because the plant are so delicate and must be habituated at this kind of growing. In the soil, we don't use a pesticide. We use 50 is the cornoletame in the ground, and the fermentation, the biggest part are indigenous yeast with low intervent or nothing, without a sulfate or a little bit of sulfates. We use some energy for make wine in the cellar, and but all the energy of the cellar is green, is produced from us, from the sea, by us. The aging of the wines is never in the stainless steel, it's just in a material with the pour, because natural wine is more difficult to relax it. And we use a cement, amphora, or big barrel of oak. This is our idea of wine. I think the key of our wine is genuineness and terroir.
I ask this of winemakers sometimes who also work the land. Do you find you spend more time with the grapes or with the juice?
I think for the grapes.
And why is that?
Hey, because all arrive from the ground. We don't give it to cut the plant to other people. We are a little keep all of our little farm, because I think all must start from the ground, from the plant. After, if you have good grapes, it's more easy make the wine, I think.
One thing that I've noted is that you focus on indigenous grapes. So grapes that are specifically from the area that you're in. What are those grapes, and why do you focus on only indigenous grapes?
I think first was we have a passion for our ground, and I think make a natural wine must understand don't change the territory. Sometimes a lot of people think natural wine are revolution, but is a different revolution. It's just make what made the ancestor, and the ancestor grew with these grapes, and we grow Dolcetto, Barbera, Nebbiolo, typical. But we have also I have studied with the University of Turin in the past for rediscovery some grapes. For example, one grapes is a Nascetta. We have replanted some Dudanry and other different Malvasia moscata and now Rossese Bianco or Blanc Vert. This kind of grapes are more delicate. All respect for the French grapes, because I respect a lot the quality of the French wines. But if you plant the Pinot Noir, the Cabernet Sauvignon, the Chardonnay, in different conditions, they work good. For this, there are all these grapes in Australia, in California, in different parts of the world. Our grapes are a little bit more difficult to grow and difficult to go away from the territory with good result. Depends which grapes, depend the territorial. Because my son said me, tasted last week a good Nebbiolo from Mexico. It's impressive for me because, but it's good. I think our idea is we don't want to make a copy of another French wine. We want to be an authentic wine with the indigenous grapes from here. This is the idea. And now maybe can be more expensive, more cheaper, can be super quality or less quality, but depends what the people want and what the people like. Other side arrived the globalization and all is that.
Simone, I can't believe you had a Nebbiolo from Mexico. That's crazy.
There's actually quite a bit just in a part called Baja California, south of California. There's quite a bit of that. And also,
Wow.
I've heard of one producer growing some Dolcetto as well here in
Wow.
Mexico, which
Wow.
I still haven't been able to try, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you find Nebbiolo is pretty rare, but every once in a while there'll be Barbera or Sangiovese in like California. Even here in the state of Washington, we'll have some of that, but it's not very common.
Yeah, I have a friend, her name is Tara. She makes natural wine in California. She doesn't grow grapes, but she works closely with the vine growers, and she focuses only on Italian varieties, so Barbera, but also Vermentino, a lot of things that are kind of hard to find in Italy too, and somehow they showed up in somewhere in California.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Your winery, Poderi Cellario, you make a wide variety of wines. Is there a wine that you're particularly proud of or types of wines that you really love to make?
I think I like very much Dolcetto grapes. We born with the Dolcetto grapes. After we replant a lot of kind of wine indigenous. In the past, we start to produce also some sparkling wine, ancestral. But I think leader bottles after I explain and mixed grapes. But I think this was my way, was what in my head wanna do at the moment. But this was the way for return at the tradition. I don't know. Some guys go away. My son study away sociology, nothing about wine. But now at the moment, return to help me to sell my wine and have a passion for this territory. I think if you go away after, you can understand the difference you had before. And I don't go away, but I go away in my head, away from Dolcetto, from Nebbiolo, make some easy wines more funny. But I think at the moment, also the consumer of natural wine can understand a level more high from our traditionally wine aged in big wood like Nebbiolo or Cement, Dolcetto San Luigi, or our Barbera so strong Savinot.
Fausto, I just met you, but I imagine that you are very joyful and you have a lot of joy in making wine. Is that I know it's work. I know it's work, but do you find a lot of joy in making wine?
This is really hard work, really hard. If you don't have a passion, I think maybe make a conventional wine or harder. Because I explained before, all of a sudden in the farm, in the vineyard, in the cellar, and yes, what I'm happy is in the wine I can give to the people a piece of me, of my personality, and I think the wine change if I change me, my idea, my what I think change in the time. This is the artisanal producer. It's not a standard. It's not a maker for the market. Maybe yes, must have a good quality, but there is some little thing change. If change my idea, yes, if change the season every year is different, but also my life is like the life of all the people. When are you younger, you have some idea after change, and what is good of this work is in the wines there is a piece I live, what I live.
I think that's beautiful. I love the way that you said that, Bella. That it's a piece of you in the wine. What a wonderful sentiment to offer. I think that's wonderful. Okay, just a couple of questions, and I might actually toss both of these over to you, Simone. So one is I always like to ask, and Simone, you may be coming to Seattle. And so if you come to Seattle, we'll meet. Maybe you'll come over for dinner to my wife and I, our family. If you came over, and I should say, Poderi Cellario makes so many different wines: red wine, white wine, orange wine, sparkling wine, pet nat, so many different varieties. So you have a lot to choose from. But when we meet, what wines of yours are you going to share?
Well, we do make quite a bit of a variety, probably just because we like to drink different things on different days. And most of it is a pretty small production of most wines. Choosing only one would be very much impossible.
You don't have to choose one. We'll take lots.
I think what in this moment I'm really oriented towards, there's a couple. One could be Giolino, which is a new wine that we released this year. It's Grignolino grapes, it's carbonic maceration, super light, fruity, chillable as well. So kind of like to get things going as an aperitivo or something like that could be really cool. I really have been drinking a lot of San Luigi, which is one of the dolcetto that we make. It doesn't say dolcetto on the label, it says Dogliani because we are in the denomination of the DOCG, but it's really from a very special place and one of our favorite wines. And also one of my all-time favorites of what we make is the Vino che non c'è orange. We make a couple different orange wines. That one is the one that focuses on lost grape varieties. It's a bit of a longer maceration of a month, amphora aging. That could be something that I bring to a dinner like yours to kind of like introduce people to something that maybe they haven't tried before or not so much. It's kind of like what I like to bring to my wine nerd friends to kind of get into the, details of those small grapes that are unknown outside of our region and those kind of things.
That's wonderful. I'd love it. And Grignolino is we did an episode on Grignolino a little bit ago.
It.
Yeah,
and it might be the first one that I heard from you actually, or the second one.
And it was a wine that we had never had before, and it was wonderful. Really, really liked it. Okay, last question. How can people find you, find your wines? Where can they buy them? And can they visit too?
Well, you told us that most of your audience is in the US. We have been working for a lot of times with Selection Naturel, which is our importer. A few people, really great people. They sell in, I don't remember if 40 or 45 states, but pretty all over. So you can look them up. I would suggest people to text us on Instagram. Mostly I manage the account. My father also at some point does as well when, get time. But because the states have some pretty difficult laws on shipping, could be something where we can direct them to. There are a few shops that carry our wines regularly. Some of our wines, like Wine Therapy in New York City and Wild Child from our friend Lauren in near Boston. I believe they ship pretty much all over the states, so could be an option. They both have Jolino right now because it's their new thing. I was just texting with one of them the other day. Outside of there, we sell in a lot of countries. Again, probably Instagram or an email is the best way to find it. If you're in Europe, Natural Wine Dealers is our Austrian importer that ships all over Europe. So good, really, really good option to find them too. But overall, yeah, if they contact us through email or Instagram, we can figure something out.
Great. And will you share the Instagram and email address?
The email address is simply hello@podericellario.it, and the Instagram is podericellario_wines. Pretty easy.
Excellent. And we'll share that too in the show note. And if people are in Piedmont, can they visit the winery?
Yes, just write an email and we are available. And it's a pleasure give a test and so they can visit the farmer, the seller, and it's very good for us. We are not an industry where there is people dedicate at visit. We are just us, me and my wife, but I think this is better because we can explain in a different particularly, and I think people like know the growers. In the summer, maybe there is more my wife. I'm a vineyard all day. Joe, I wanna, if I can, I wanna explain a last thing.
Please.
When we started May Natural Wine, not all the people liked it, and we sold a lot of wine to other sellers, biggest. But me and Simone, more than 10 years ago, he was a child. We made a trip in the US, and we worked from 2 or 3 years with the Selection Natural with Matteo Mollo. And this trip was the key of this year's we are working of the key of our selling wine, because he recommended to try to make the wine in a liter bottle. The liter bottle was not diffused. We visited different shop. There was just a liter wine was Austria. He said, Cellario, you sell a lot of wine for other company. You don't have big money. No, they give me a price not good. But was just because the wine was not sold. But this idea of the liter bottles was very, very smart idea. And for me, 1 liter with chrome cap was, well, it's good because I like very much not to be like the other. And at Boston, when we talk about this wine, Matteo visited our cellar before and tested the wine. What's the name of this wine? 1 liter. At the light, stop. He said, "È rosso." It's red. The light was red, and in the evening, I paint in a little book. The he was the label, the first label of the liters, and this idea, I think, was for a wine arrived to all the people. A natural wine with the natural wine normally are so expensive, but make a natural wine all the people can drink, also the young guys, the students. And this was a big success. And after we have introduced all our wines in US, but was really what's happened. And the diffusion of the natural wine, I think, must not to be just an elite. I think the idea of the natural grower is not to be VIP, is to live, to survive, to enjoy, and to make other wine. But is not. I think natural winemaker, all friends, is another idea for this. Is I think is a better work than normal wine.
Yeah, again, go back to this idea that you've brought up, which is in natural wine, you get part of the winemaker. It's so close. The wine is so close to the winemaker, and that's a really kind of amazing sentiment. And so I really hope that our listeners look for your wines. I hope they visit you. I want to visit you, so don't be surprised if you get an email from me and my wife, and we're going to stop by. But thank you so much for being on the podcast and for sharing your story and sharing your wine. And we can't wait for our listeners to try it.
Thank you, Joe. You are super gentle, and it's a pleasure for me too.
Thank you. We can't wait to meet in person, not just over a screen.
Okay. Good. I'm so happy.
Ciao,
Grazie.
ciao.
Ciao, Joe.
Well, thank you very much for listening to our interview with Fausto. And I also want to give a special shout out to his son, Simone, who arranged everything. And he's a pretty impressive young person. As you can tell, Fausto is a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I bet he's a pretty great dad as well. You can just kind of tell from talking to him. Now, in case you are worried about how to find Fausto and Poderi Cellario wines, don't worry. You can find out all this information on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, in our show notes for this episode. But so you have it, here's the information. Here's the information about how to find out more. You can go to the website. It's www.poderi, Poderi, Cellario, Cellario.it. So it's an Italian website, obviously. So it's Poderi Cellario, but Cellario is CE, Cellario. And you can reach out to them there. And on Instagram, they are at Selection Naturelle. So it's SELECTIONATUREL. So go visit them. If you can go to visit their winery, that would be awesome. But look for their wines, ask for them, go to your local wine merchant and see if they can find them for you. And we hope, again, you'll subscribe to our podcast, the Wine Pair Podcast, and follow us on Instagram and visit our website, and reach out to us. Send me a note if you have wines you want us to try or winemakers you want us to meet. Let us know. You can always reach out to me at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com, and we look forward to hearing from you. But for now, it's time to go. And as we like to say, life is short, so stop drinking shitty wine. Bye-bye.
In the garden of my imagination,